Hey guys, how you doing? Podcast 26 here, and I'm with Roxanne Saffaie.
Yes, you are. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm great. I'm like, I'll just tell you straight off the bat. So I woke up at 4:30 this morning.
Oh, jeez.
And I wake early anyways. You know, like typically it's like between 5 to 6, and I go to bed early.
Yeah.
But I'm a little bit on New York time still. I just got back from New York City.
Nice.
And the first thing I thought of, at 4:30 when I woke up was like, oh shit, this podcast is gonna be funny tonight.
What were you doing in New York?
Because I was on. It was primarily focused around podcasting, so I was like podcasting all week. But then I had meetings as well. And then I lived in New York for about 6 years of my life. Forever a New Yorker.
Nice.
So I got people out there that just went to check in on, and
nice.
New friends, like just epic podcast guests. Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
A lot of my family's in New York.
Oh, really? What part?
Brooklyn.
Yeah.
And then a lot of them are not in New York. They're in North Jersey.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, like Elizabeth and Old Bridge.
Okay.
They're in Old Bridge,
right on.
yeah. And then I have some in Philadelphia too.
So you love New York too? Do you like to go?
I like going there. Yeah.
It's a good time.
Yeah, definitely. I really like it. It's so different.
It is.
It's so different.
I moved from Hawaii to New York.
Oh, wow.
I was your age. I was
wow.
their age. Yeah, so I did my 20s in New York, and it was a really good time.
That sounds like
it was hardcore.
Time. Yeah.
It was a big factor in basically who I am today. Like character building, you know, it's extremely formidable. You know, New York will really show you who you are and what you're capable of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I see when I'm out there and I see my family, they're just like on the move. Every single second counts.
Yeah,
you know
it does.
Saying? They're like, okay, we'll do this for this amount of time, this for this amount of time. We'll get this done. We'll get this done. We'll get this done. And I'm just like, oh my God, we covered almost everything in one day.
It's so true.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, these guys are always on the move.
I know, and it's actually, I think that was super supportive. So when I moved back eventually, because I originate from here, right, California and LA, for the most part. But when it had been like 14 years or something like that. Haven't really done the math completely, but when I moved back, my work ethic was just, it was on another level.
Yeah. So
it was really interesting. So I, for the better part of my career, I'm a celebrity makeup artist, right? That's like a big piece. That's been the big piece. But I'm also a podcast host now.
Yep.
And, there's like a whole personal empowerment space that I've now entered and that I am heavily invested in, And so I kind of have like a divide of careers, which is awesome. But then they kind of work together at the same time.
Yeah.
And so the freelance, the makeup career is freelance, right?
Yeah.
And so, I don't know how many people are aware of like what goes into freelancing, but it's you have to hunt for your work.
Yeah.
So it's on a whole, you appreciate when you work. You're not living that life of like, I wish I can call in sick. Like you're sick and you're fucking going to work.
Yeah. Exactly.
And so that New York in me was super helpful.
Yeah.
To get here and like get off the ground with everything because it is a very, especially I work in the celebrity realm.
Yeah.
It's a hard career. It's a hard thing to get into. You can't just you have to know how to build relationships. You can't even just be good at makeup.
Yeah.
In fact, there are plenty of people who are okay at it, but they're kicking ass in their career because they've got the other part down. You know.
Yeah.
So New York was really good to me for a lot of reasons, and that's why I go back and forth for work often. But it's also just good for me to just go back to just touch that energy. Yeah. For my own buzz,
Yeah.
Because you just come back and I'm like, let's do this shit, and I'm already like, let's do this shit.
Yeah, exactly. Do you find yourself? It's cool because you started off on the West Coast or Hawaii, like you said, so it's a very chill kind of slow paced kind of go with the flow environment. And then you go to New York where it's like fast paced, get your shit done kind of thing. So I think it's kind of cool because you kind of have both both worlds in a sense.
Yeah,
within
totally.
you. So it's like, you know when to chill and have fun and relax, but you also know like when to like get your shit in gear.
Yeah, well, and I think that, you know, it's important to honor both, you know, because if not, then there's burnout, or on the flip, then you're not getting shit done.
Yes.
And so I mean, again, I originate from California, and then I moved to Kauai in my late teens and lived there for a couple of years before I would move to Oahu, and Hawaii is home for me forever. You know, I was there as a kid, and when I got to the place where it was time to leave, it was because I wasn't surfing all day anymore. I was now like trying to hustle and actually develop a career. At the times I did, I threw events for a living.
Nice.
So I started doing makeup out there, but then I got intercepted and pulled in the event music space, and I really discovered some things that I loved about like that process, and then that would eventually, you know, it just got small. Like I knew everybody. Like the
New York got small for you.
Well, New York eventually got small for me, but Hawaii got small.
Oh, I bet.
And then you know, I met somebody who lived in New York, and come visit, come check it out, and literally, you know, and I just bought the ticket, went out there a week later. It's Fashion Week, and I will never forget the first night that I got there. And I just felt the energy of the city, and I literally was like, I gotta fucking live here. And I moved there 1 month later, and I didn't even have a plan.
Wow, you just dropped it all, went straight there.
Yeah, I was just like, I wanted to try and go to FIT, like the fashion school out there. I didn't get accepted.
Okay.
Not mad at all. But yeah, I mean, it was enough. That was like, okay, I'm trying to do something out here, you know, so it wasn't a total, you know, free-for-all situation, but, I mean, I was certainly, it was like, I don't necessarily believe that we have this, like, destined, like, it's all drawn out, but I look back and I go, that was supposed to happen.
Wow.
Because, not, for several reasons, again, like, who I am today, big piece goes to that life in New York. And then I can even like look at the friends that I have who are like extended family, you know, and that they're forever a part of my life. And so yeah, lots of, but then when it was, New York did get small, you know, and it's pretty funny, you know, because when you first go to New York, if you're not from there, you know, it's fucking overwhelming in a way. Like some people can't even hang out there because it's just too much energy.
Yeah, it's a lot.
But it's like anything, you know, you you do your runs, you know, and I had been there for so many years, and I was, you know, I was in the scene, I did the thing, and I had the spots, and then it was like my roots as an athlete and my roots in nature. I grew up at the ocean right here, you know, and then even my family being away for so long, all of that really started to like pull on me, and I was going back and forth, you know, and I was coming back and visiting, but it just got to a point where I'm like, you know what, I'm actually good, like I could keep going, but like how much growth am I really going to make, because it didn't feel like I was growing as much anymore, really, and I'm addicted to growth, you know, so that's kind of, you know, I will say that, and I speak to this a lot on the podcast as well. You know, one thing that I've really been good at in my life is listening to myself, even when it doesn't make sense, even when people that you love are not into it, family, friend, like.
Did you teach yourself that, or like really it just happened where you just started listening?
Well, we all have the voice,
of course, but like
I've just had the pathway.
That's so interesting.
Well, I'll say this to be helpful, because, you know, I'm an introvert, which trips people out because I'm not shy, but I spend a lot of time with myself, and I appreciate that time with myself. I've been writing for all of my life, and that is deep introspective work.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so when you do this kind of deep introspective work, and you're doing it from the perspective of a student, so you're really looking at things objectively. You're trying to like understand. Like I've always been kind of almost like watching myself, you know, and as I'm writing, and it creates more self-awareness. And when you have stronger self-awareness, then you have stronger self-connection. And this really allows more, you know, connection, basically, to hear what I call your highest self.
Yes. I listen to a lot of Jordan Peterson.
Yeah, cool.
And he makes it a point to not listen to yourself.
That's interesting.
Yeah, he goes, because that voice that you have will try to trick you, because it kind of like it forms itself through like your habits and like your decisions you make and stuff like that. And like, so I was kind of recently, actually, probably when I started listening to him, because I used to, so younger, like I was all about, I still somewhat believe in like the law of attraction and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But when I started listening to him, he kind of said like, oh, in order to grow, you kind of have to kind of go against, or if you're trying to change, you have to go against that voice that you have. You have to go against, the habits and stuff that you have been doing. Mm-hmm. So, I guess for me, it was that constant struggle of like, okay, don't trust that voice that you have because it's trying to trick you.
Sure.
But it's like, I don't know, you're kind of making
there's layers to it.
Yeah.
And I think that, I don't listen to him too much to be able to speak to, and really dissect what he's saying.
Yeah.
But how I receive that just from taking you in and explaining that, there are always going to be what I call intruding thoughts, right?
Yeah.
And these are things that maybe develop from, your childhood, your subconscious, and they are habitual, and they'll come around. And even myself, as a very self-connected, very confident and empowered woman, I am not immune to disempowering thoughts.
Yeah.
At all. Like, they'll be coming through.
Yeah.
But because I have developed such a powerful connection with my highest self, when those little fuckers come around, I know that they're not the truth. The truth of me knows the truth.
Yeah.
That's some like Rubik's Cube shit right there.
Yeah, no, I totally understand.
With that.
Yeah, I get it.
And I think that we all have that, but it just takes real work. I just launched an episode where I'm speaking about this. Like, it's one part I think people have a hard time hearing themselves, like, and feeling these feelings.
Yes.
It's almost bigger part trusting the feeling. So this would definitely, based upon what you just said, this would totally go against what Jordan's saying, right? Uh-huh. But for me, I'm saying, no, I am clear enough to understand the difference between the thoughts that are disempowering and not operating from my highest self versus this highest being in me who is like my North Star and always guiding me. And then, I will say this too, as a biology geek, your lifestyle and your health, 100%, listen, I can't speak in a like absolute factual way, but there's no way that if you are not healthy and your lifestyle is not producing more health in your being, from everything from mindset to your physiology and all that, you're gonna have a harder time not only hearing and feeling that connection, but also dissecting what is what. My lifestyle is I'm all about high performance from a holistic approach, optimizing health, so I have a very healthy relationship not only with my mind but with my actual biology, and that is supporting this.
Interesting.
So
do you what advice would you give someone who's trying to make that connection with their higher self, or even let's just say someone even doesn't even believe they have a higher self? You know what I'm saying? Well, what would you say?
Well, if you don't believe in it, then you probably are not going to care what I'm saying. So we'll push that to the side.
Got it. Okay.
But if you do believe but you're just not sure, I mean, I would say the biggest support system that I have found for me to have this connection is journaling, is writing.
Wow. Okay.
Because it's a release of thoughts. It's like, and journaling is it's not for everyone. People are intimidated by it.
I've tried it. Like it. It's kind of tough.
What did you find tough about it?
Like, I didn't have trouble doing it. Like, every thought that came to my head, I wrote down on the paper, right? But I didn't feel that release of those thoughts from my head just by journaling them.
Okay.
I find those kind of thoughts getting released through like really strenuous like exercise.
Okay.
That's when I find like, because like let's just say I'm having a super, like yesterday was kind of tough, and I thought to myself like, man, like what is the only thing that has worked to kind of get in a better mood?
Yeah.
And for me, it's like training, like sweating super hard, high heart being, stuff like that. And I've tried different ways. Don't get me wrong. I've tried, meditation. I like meditation. I've tried yoga. I've done all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I found myself like just kind of essentially I feel like it's a kind of going to war like with yourself, because I do a lot of martial arts training as well.
Yeah.
And that it's kind of like this competition within yourself, and like you just, everything else kind of goes out the window, because the only thing you're focused on is trying to not get hit in the face, Yeah. So that's personally what I felt. But when I tried journaling, it wasn't that I had a hard time doing it, but it's just like that the solution to it I wasn't really getting.
Yeah, so maybe you were trying to get something out of it.
That's what, yes, I completely agree. I was trying to feel some sort of release or something.
Exactly.
And
I'm saying, literally talk about the fucking bird that's annoying you outside the window.
Yeah.
Like, it's just about this like throwdown that where you're just allowing yourself to be, where you're just like, I'm just gonna like express myself, basically. And I feel, and again, like while I say this, I also want to say that it may very well be the case that journaling isn't your pathway to that, you know? A lot of people, I'm sure you study, you listen, I know you, we just were talking like some of the same people, Naval.
Yeah,
just
Naval.
say the name.
Yes. Naval.
Naval.
Go on Rox's podcast. She wants you on there.
For you.
She's coming for you.
But no, I mean, there's a lot of, just elite humans in the world, high performers who will back this up, the journaling,
Yeah.
And so I think that for me, it's a very sound piece of advice to give someone, to say, hey, if you really want to attempt to get this deeper connection with self so that you can operate more intuitively and trust your intuition, well, you have to really get to know who you are.
Yes.
And I have found that rolling ink is a great pathway for that. It's not the only way. I would say also, when you are, like, going back to the biology thing, you got to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
If your diet sucks, if your fucking sleep sucks, your relationship sucks, you're reading things like watching the news late at night, like you're polluting you're polluting yourself, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So it's going to be very, very hard to generate this connection. And let's just say, first of all, you already don't have a connection with self, right? You're already like kind of doing life like being more in a reactive state maybe than a responsive state. And and now you're like getting all this we're going to call pollution, but now you want to try and like listen to your gut. That's hard.
Interesting. I didn't think about it like that.
So if you start thinking about, all right, well, maybe journaling isn't the thing for me right now, but maybe just taking care of my diet a little bit better. Maybe am I watching what's this fluorescent light doing at night? Taking down my melatonin, which is going to not allow me to get adequate quality sleep, which then is going to affect a lot of things, but that's a rabbit hole that I'll be
turn
careful.
On the lights?
Yeah, totally. In my house, like, oh, thank you. You're so sweet. I should get. I'll get you like you know what I'll do?
What?
I think that one I'll get. That one's maybe better.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
We can go right there.
No, we're good. Thank you.
Cool.
You're so sweet. I'll get you a pink Himalayan sea salt like nightlight lamps.
Wow.
So in my house, when the sun sets, like I have one lamp that's like yellow light. But that's it. I don't even have any fluorescent lights, and I don't know if you know much about sleep, but it's
like one thing I'm super happy about is I get very good sleep.
Okay, good.
Like I sleep enough.
Yeah.
I have good sleep. I don't wake up. Like people say, I woke up, I feel tired. I'm like, how?
Yeah.
Like when I wake up, I feel like I'm ready to go. Like
okay, good.
And I sleep enough. That's why I feel like my recovery's pretty well.
Yeah.
Compared to others. Like don't get me wrong, if I have a hard workout, I'm gonna be sore. But like I sleep well. Like, I'm super happy about that.
Yeah,
and I didn't teach myself, and it just kind of just happened. So I'm like, okay, I'm super happy about that.
Good.
But
you gotta hold on to that.
Yeah, for
because
sure.
you're young too,
exactly,
you know.
Yeah.
So you can get away with a lot. I'm 41, right?
Mm-hmm.
And which for me, I'm still very young.
Yeah.
But I'm super interested in longevity.
Yes.
And really more so about like health span. So thinking about pushing these older decades of life and the detriments that typically can come up, pushing
those as far as you can.
Yeah, exactly. And science, it's proven now that we can do that.
Yeah,
like with
absolutely.
lifestyle, you can push that shit
totally
way down there.
Yeah.
You know,
the martial arts studio that I train at, the landlord is 98 years old.
That's amazing,
right?
Yeah.
And he walks up and runs up the stairs. I pulled in the other day, right? And I saw him. There's like some plants outside of the parking lot, right? And he's just chopping them with an axe. And he's 98.
That's what's up though. Look what he's doing. He's doing this manual work.
Yeah.
That, you know, I'm super into. So, like we are so far away from, you know, the lifestyle obviously that helped to evolve us. So when you think about a big thing that I love, I'm an advocate for, is I call it seeking the fight. It's essentially moving towards challenges, right?
Yeah.
Getting uncomfortable. Like, get uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's going to help you. It's going to grow you. It's
Absolutely.
going to... So when we think about, like, now we have calories, and I'm being mindful about the word calories, and I'm not saying food on purpose.
Okay, yeah.
So we have calories available to us 24/7, 365.
Yes.
And again, the reason why I'm saying calories is because we have a lot of fake food out there.
Yes.
And that, more often than not, is what's being consumed
absolutely.
especially in North America.
Uh-huh.
So you don't even need to fucking leave your house to get your calories.
Yes.
You don't have to feel cold
because
you could just turn the thermostat or hot, turn the air conditioning.
Yes.
These are, you know, back in the day, you know, we had to fast at times. Like we didn't have food. We didn't, you know, we had to, these are like, it's called hormesis, or like hormonal stressors that helped us to evolve and to basically stay healthy.
Yes.
You know, and now it's the opposite.
Yeah.
We have
it's declining, right? The lifespan has declined in the US for the first
I
time
don't know. I don't have the facts, and so I'm very the science geek in me is like, I can't speak to the thing if I don't have the facts.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, I think in a lot of ways we're doing a lot better, and then in a lot of ways we're not. You know, if we consider like Alzheimer's, like that, we're at an all-time high now with this diabetes. Like these are things where we didn't have these as much before, right? Cardiovascular health, like it's just all starting to surface now in a way where. And one thing I'll say is that I find that when there's like an increase of an issue, there's also an increase of awareness, and that also helps to produce a solution, which is cool.
Yeah.
So it's not like I'm not an alarmist.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you know, I'm worried. I don't look at things that way. Like I hear that a lot. Like
That's
it's
cool.
scary, man.
Yeah.
Well, think about Naval. Remember when Joe Rogan was like, I can't say exactly when he was talking about like
automation and artificial intelligence.
And Naval was like, and he flipped it in a way I never heard it, where it was like, actually, that would be the best thing that ever happened to us. Because when you think about it, then you're going to have people who can actually be. It was like the shit that we don't need to do.
Yeah.
Now people can focus on creating.
Exactly. Totally. I think it was talking about AI and stuff like that. It's like specific. That pretty much what you just said. Like people can focus on what they actually want to do.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And it's true. Like I didn't think about it. That podcast like blew my mind. Like I learned so much, especially coming from a tech background, because he has a tech background.
Yeah.
And just like kind of finding that balance between the two of like having tech, but like almost being like this monk type person.
Yeah.
Is like super inspiring.
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
Do you remember when Joe? Yeah, like when he's like, I think the reason why people like to listen to me is because if you go to a zoo and you see, you know, a bear, like that's cool, but not that interesting.
Yeah.
He's like, and then sort of like, and then you see like a tricycle or something, that's cool and not that interesting. I'm totally chopping this up.
Yeah.
He's like, but then you see a bear riding a tricycle. Now that's interesting.
Yeah,
Or something like that, you know?
It's so true.
And it's like, that is him. And I love that because it also really brings to light this idea that, you know, we are not meant to necessarily be one thing. And we don't have, just because this is what you do in this part of your life, you have this interest, your career, whatever, this is not your identity. And you're not even just on the level of career, it doesn't mean you're confined to these parameters. Like fuck no. Like we're supposed to be constantly learning and evolving. Life is evolving.
Absolutely.
And if you're not evolving, then you're probably really depressed, or just you're kind of just like numb, and what I call like you're in the fucking matrix.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm. It's so true. Like I've always kind of, or for the past couple of years actually, I was thinking to myself, like, you know, I'm in my early 20s, so it's like that phase of like, what am I doing? What's going to happen? Stuff like that. And I'm kind of seeking out these people that I look up to. And, but like, I'm thankful that I kind of always have that hunger for like knowledge and stuff like that. But I look around and I'm just like, man, like people are just so, like I meet people like they're just so like depressed and like pissed over like nothing almost.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And or at least people my age that are super young, like in college and stuff like that. It's just super, super sad to see, you know?
Yeah.
But I mean, that's like you just said, like there's so much that you can change and fix to kind of
to remedy
shift
that.
To remedy that and like kind of, you know, shift yourself into another way of living.
And I think that, you know, I mean, listen, I come from the era of we played outside. You know what I mean? And, you know, until it was dark, and then even after that. And, I mean, I'm so grateful. We're all going to die. Like, you know, so it's not like, you know, this whole thing about, like, again, I feel like I'm beating the clock, whatever that means. Like, I feel fucking I'm in better shape than I've ever been in my life, you know? Just to say that, you know, this idea of, like, you know, when you're not in your 30s anymore, maybe when you're 20s, you're like, oh, it's all downhill. No, it's not.
Nope.
It's only fucking getting better.
Yeah.
But I also think that there is this, well, let me connect this thought really quick. I'll say that I'm very grateful that I come from a time where, you know, we actually sat down at the dinner table with the family.
Yeah.
There was more connection. We didn't have the internet like this. You know, there was like real life connection. Nature was more of a part of, you know, at least in our life, you know, me and my siblings. And so I think that has been super helpful to keep us, and not just myself, but like people from my generation in this state where we are more awake, you know, and you know, potentially not in that you know, just unhappy, you know, and so depressed. That was the word. But what I will also say is that I find, like, and this is the cool thing about writing too. I have 20 years of my life just sitting, because before that, like, shit got lost. But I have 20 years of my life just sitting in my home.
That's pretty cool.
It's really a trip. Cool. Yeah. So I can go back to 23-year-old Roxanne and check in with my mind and where I was at and how I was processing everything.
That's cool.
It's dope. I'll tell you, I really do believe that the 20s and everybody's life is so different. I definitely feel like I was ahead of the game a bit, you know, just in terms of mindset, wisdom, that kind of thing. But I look back and I'm like, yo, you're a puppy. And you know, and processing things are a lot harder because it almost should be. Because what the fuck, you're new to this picture, you know?
Totally.
You've been in school, you've been in your parents' home. Again, it's not everybody's life, you know, some people haven't, but for the most part, that's how it goes. And so then you get out and you're like supposed to have it all fucking figured out. You don't even have yourself figured out, or at least a big enough piece to where you can feel very rooted and move through your life from that very rooted place. It's a process.
It is. That's rooted. I like that term that you just said, like, oh, if you have a rooted kind of base or foundation, that could lead to making better decisions about that will help your life. You know what I'm saying? But like
Yeah.
people aren't rooted. They don't have those kind of strong beliefs about themselves.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And you're right. Like we're young. Like you're not supposed to, like you just recently just get out of high school and it's just like, okay, like you don't really have any beliefs about yourself. You know what I'm saying? You don't really know.
And it's harder.
It takes time.
I think it's harder in this day and age because of the lack of connection.
Mm-hmm. I don't think it's that hard to like figure yourself out, like in that sense though. It's like, okay, like what do I believe? Like what do I truly, because like people think like they believe things, you know what I'm saying? But it's like, okay, do I really believe that, or just do all my friends or does everyone around me believe that? It's like, what do you truly believe? And it's like a yes or no question, yes or no. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I think it also takes a level of confidence to be very authentic.
Yes, that's true.
And, you know, people want to be liked. We're in the era of actually like.
Yeah, exactly.
It's actually pretty horrible, in my opinion. I'm not like I value social media for certain reasons, absolutely. But that part is just like...
Well, you heard what Instagram's doing, right?
Are they officially taking it out?
They're taking it out next week. Yeah, completely.
What?
Yeah.
Are you fucking serious?
Yeah, they're going to get rid of it. Yeah.
That's insane. I had read about this, like, whatever, a month ago or
yeah,
two.
It was, last week they said they're going to, like, officially do it. They're going to try it out, like, see what it's like. Probably for, like, a month or so. See how people react.
That is so... Dude, the psychological fucking warfare that is like that is going to put on. That's amazing.
I think so. You'll be able to see who likes your post. But like, for example, let's just say I like your post, right?
Yeah.
It won't say I liked it. It'll just be the picture. But you'll see like your engagements and all that stuff, like who's commenting.
That's
and stuff like
interesting.
That. Yeah.
Well, that's really interesting actually when you think about like how many people have actually built their livelihood on Instagram.
Yeah.
And now how does that
I know. That's what I'm saying. Like. Do they do it because of the content they're putting or just because of the likes?
Well, I think first I should say I think that there are people who, because of their content, they're getting the feedback in terms of likes and followers and whatnot. So some people are valid. There's a legitimate, but then there's a lot of fake shit out there too. Yeah. So I think it's both. You know.
I think it's gonna be super interesting to see.
I mean, I'm certainly not, I guess I'm what you call a micro influencer, you know? But, I was late in the game to Instagram. And again, like even when I got on it, it wasn't like, oh, this, like I was just posting, I don't know, some stuff.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't like I had this, like I wasn't a fashion blogger and I had it all figured out. And it's like, I do value it though, for sure, because it's a space where, everything I put out, my whole being, I don't know how to do anything else but be myself, right?
Yeah, of course.
And so, I share lifestyle. I share framework. I share, things of that nature. And then I love just, being able to connect with the people that I care for, that I admire, that I respect. So there's value in that. But outside of that, I'm also actually very private too, which is...
Good.
I mean, fuck yeah, because today, and it's, now it's
do
like...
as much as you can to stay private, because eventually, they actually brought that up on the Naval podcast, like, eventually everything's going to be, like, borderline, nothing will be private. You know?
I mean, you're, like, sharing everything, and, like, that's cool, like, no judgment, but, there are some things that I don't want to share.
Yeah, of course.
It's sacred to me.
Totally. Absolutely. Like, what's it called? Have you seen the show Black Mirror?
I don't watch TV except for UFC fights.
Okay, got it.
Legitimately.
That's good. All right. So I don't really watch that much TV. Like, it has to super, like, it has to interest me.
Yeah.
But, what's it called? I probably watched it. Black Mirror probably came out, like, a few years ago.
Okay.
But I've only watched a couple seasons. There's like 5 now, I think. But I watched up to season 2. This was like a while ago. Now when I get home, I just want to sleep. But
good call.
Yeah, exactly. I just sleep when I get home, because I get home like at night. I'm just like, just go to sleep.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's an episode where basically everyone has their social, like, you are your social media profile.
Wow.
And everyone rates you.
Oh wow.
Right. So for example, like, okay, Roxanne, you go get a coffee, right?
Yeah.
And like, you have to be nice to this person, right?
Yeah.
Everyone has a 5-star rating.
Okay.
Right? And, like, you go get a coffee, right? And you're, like, let's just say the clerk kind of finds you rude.
Yeah.
Right? He'd be like, she was kind of rude. and he has like this clicker, whatever it is. I don't know what he's doing.
So he's like judging you right there.
Yeah. And it like removes from your stars.
Oh shit.
Yeah. And then it's like, oh,
it's like
was
your
that
Uber rating?
Yeah, exactly, literally, right? And it's just like, whoa, what? And like everyone has this 5-star rating, and if they lose points, like they start to freak out, and like, so that's not the point that scares me. What scares me is that people were getting the opportunities that they were getting because of that rating.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? It's
sure.
like, okay, let's just say like, oh, Roxanne has like, let's just say you're actually yourself being yourself. Whereas so-and-so has a 5-star rating because they're super nice to everybody and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm going to go towards that person just because they have a 5-star rating.
No, yeah. And I mean, if we were going to transfer that over to like, how many followers do you have and your value, that is something that I don't, it turns me off for sure. Because, you know, it's unfortunate that you can be so quickly judged. Mm-hmm. Now, legitimately by number. Like, you could legit have a great conversation with someone. And, oh my god, like, met this person. And then all of a sudden, like, the Instagram thing happens. And they're thinking, like, I don't know. Like, but you only have 2,000 followers. Or you only have 400, or whatever it is. I don't know. You know, making up numbers here. But, like, that's some fucked up shit. That's, like, real. And so when you think... So then I think about the young ones. And... how that has to just hurt and suck. Yeah, I know. Because in like when I was a kid, I was the girl who was friends with everybody. Yeah. Unless you were a dick. You know? I mean in terms of like, I don't know, like the jocks, like you know what I mean, like the categories. Yeah. Like I ran through with everyone.
Same,
like I was
would
cool.
say so. Yeah.
Yeah, so you know, I would end up being in like the popular groups, whatever, like, but not because I was doing anything to try. Like, I would just land there somehow, you know? And I say that and I cringe because where I'm going with this is that I've never been a fan of the whole popular thing. Mm-hmm. It's just not, you know, my family, and I really do believe this is fluid between all of us, right? So I have 3 brothers and my sister. Yeah. And, you know, we've had an epic life. Our childhood, we've had some shit in our upbringing that was, was very character building, you know? But there's something that's fluid in all of us in that, you know, we really do treat people with respect. Absolutely. You could be the man who's like, taking out the trash in this building here, or the high level exec, like if you're a piece of shit, that's a different story. Yes. Then we're going to approach you differently. Yes. But this whole like, you know, you're better than you, like we don't have that. Yeah. We definitely, and this is also very fluid between us, admire excellence. Yes. And so, you know, we're all athletic for the most part. Yeah. And, you know, we've all kind of been brought up with this admiration for those who are operating from a state of excellence. So for sure, we can gravitate more to, you know, high performers in that way. Yeah. And we have, like, can look at my, you know, closest people and I'm like, bad motherfuckers, you know? You know, and
some BMFs, man.
The BMFs, like, God, that fight.
Oh my God, those fights are crazy.
That fight was crazy, right? I knew that. I mean, I would have been shocked if that didn't get stopped. Sorry, side note.
Really?
Yeah, did you see that gaping cut?
Oh my God, that happens to Nate every fight, though.
I know, man, but there was something about where it was right there, and it was so... I don't know, maybe because my brother has this ridiculous TV where it's like the size of that wall.
Nice.
Wait, you could just see...
Mike?
Arya.
Oh, Arya, got it.
Yeah, so you could just see, like, and we were like, whoa. And so, you know, can you imagine if, like, he kept getting hit there?
Yeah, you're right. That would have been
It would have been, like, you know...
But what's crazy is that, like, apparently, okay, so what kind of sketched me out, too, is that doctor who stopped it has stopped fights before. Okay. Where people have felt like they could have kept going. Oh. There's a Bellator fighter, his Michael Chandler. Okay. And he like rolled his ankle. He just rolled his ankle. Yeah. Right? So I think he just like kind of, not tore, but he just like pulled some ligaments. Mm-hmm. So he was kind of losing balance, right? And the doctor ruled it a broken foot.
Really?
Yeah. And
it's interesting.
Yeah, but it's a tough call, like when you're the doctor, right? It's hard. But yeah. But
I love Nate. I mean, I definitely, I love that whole fight. I love, I mean, UFC is so fucking brilliant to like put that together.
Right.
Like,
I love that.
The belt was sick.
That belt was a $50,000 belt.
It was like, crazy? And it just they did such a good job with like how it was darker. You know, it was just definitely more like, that's a bad motherfucker belt.
Exactly,
you know?
Exactly. I love that fight for sure.
Yeah. Sorry,
no, it's fine. But pretty much you're talking about your bad motherfucker friends. Yeah,
and just saying that, in my family, we really do operate from that place of like, I think ultimately it's compassion.
Yes.
And empathy because, and maybe it's how we came downloaded. It's one part that. But then I also think that it's part of because of our experiences, that we faced, the adversities in our childhood, where it's like, man, like we know what it feels like to not have food in the house, straight up.
Wow.
But we also know what it feels like to be driven to school in Mercedes, and I know I fly around the world in a private jet or whatever, like not around the world, but for work or whatnot. And so that diversity and that, it's really helped to allow us to be very open to what's possible and not be limited. But also understand what hard really feels like. I'm grateful.
Yeah, totally. Well, you and your family are super inspiring. Like I follow all of them.
Thank you.
I met Mike I kind of met Mike at my old work, King's Hawaiian. I used to work in a bakery.
Shoot. Yeah.
And so I actually kind of started my martial arts training through there. There's one of the head decorators over there is my head coach.
What's your discipline?
I have a karate background.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, but he has a jiu-jitsu background as well, and cool. we do like boxing, Muay Thai, all that stuff. So I've kind of dabbled in like many different like martial arts in general. But so I started training there and stuff like that. So there, Brian Ortega used to go all the time, and started getting close with Brian. Started getting cool with him, and then Mike walks in with his now wife, Jess.
Yeah.
And he's wearing a black belt surfing shirt.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, like, do you know Brian? You train with Brian? He's like, yeah. So I'm like, oh, well, hey, nice to meet you, stuff like that. Started talking, and then boom, there's that. And then I met him again at I think it was like Brian's house or something.
Yeah.
And started talking there and stuff like that. And then just the stuff he would post, I'm like, man, I cannot relate more to this. You know what I'm saying? It's just super inspiring. Just his stories. I'm on every one of his live videos.
Yeah.
If I see it, if I'm on there as well.
Yeah.
I like it. Arya is just a legend. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But then.
Thank you.
No, yeah, no worries. Point is, I was trying to make like you guys. It just runs in the family.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah.
And then once I started the podcast, first, I'm like, oh, I gotta get Mike on. Like, I know this would be a sick podcast.
Yeah, he's a great. I love listening to him on podcasts.
And then I met you, and then I'm like, oh, let's do it.
Right? Like cheering my brother on. Yeah. I know. I'm happy to be here and have this conversation. And
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, he's my brother and I are almost like twins in we're 11 months apart.
Okay, got it. I don't know.
Yeah, you're like, I don't know. Basically, he's 1 year younger than me.
Got it.
We're super close. I mean, all of the siblings, like my family, period. Like my mom, we're super tight. But yeah, Mike is, he's really unique and special in the sense of, in a lot of ways. But like, on the face, if you like, just for example, go to his Instagram page. I mean, you're going to see this incredible, strength and conditioning coach, athlete, like physical guy. And then you start talking to him. Yes. And you're like, oh shit.
Yeah, he's something else.
This is like, I mean, our dad is super into philosophy.
Oh, okay.
Also like background in engineering. So he has this like science, it's almost like he would speak in riddles as a kid. We're like, what, Dad?
Whoa,
but so articulate, so eloquent when he would speak. And, I find a lot of similarities actually between Mike and my dad in that sense. But one thing about Michael, he has forever been so fucking curious. Like the joke is that, he was always like breaking apart something to try and put it back together. Yeah. So like goodbye phone. because he usually couldn't put it back together.
Right.
But he would just, and even when he gets into conversations with people, where sometimes it might feel not combative, but like he loves debates, but he loves to engage in the what I call cerebral adventure. So it's not about like being right or wrong. It's literally take my mind there. Let's get in it right now. I want to learn.
Absolutely.
And so, and I appreciate that about him almost more than ever because, even though we are interested in some things that are similar, but then there are some things that I'm more interested in that he's not, or maybe we're not even in agreement with, that kind of thing.
I was about to say, do you guys get in a lot of disagreements, like arguments and stuff? Not in a bad way, but like debates.
No, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I think, all of us are super passionate, and all of us are super opinionated, and very rooted.
That's what I'm saying. So I'm like, from what I've heard from him, and like what I'm like, kind of what I picked from his head, and now what I'm kind of picking like from here. I'm like, I wonder like what that is.
We'll throw it down.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
For sure.
I'm like, I want to see that.
It's all about the dinner table.
Yes.
Exactly. I think we're all in a place too where we understand each other more than we ever have, and we also do have a lot of respect for each other. Yeah. Like, I don't need to agree with you and be, for me to have respect for what you believe in or what your thought process, and I do feel that's, it's like a mutual thing between all of us. Yes. That doesn't mean in the heat of the moment it's going to feel that way. Yes. Because sometimes it's like, what? Yeah. But it's actually cute because I think it's also what helps us to stay young.
Yeah.
Because
that's such a good quality to have, though. Just to have that respect for someone, even if they don't agree with you, though.
I mean, think about like on a large scale if that was happening more often.
Oh man,
we'd
be in a much better place.
We would be in a lot better place.
Exactly.
But it's usually. It's like this club thing where it's like if I don't believe. I'm like,
I'm in this.
Don't even get me started. I'll be talking about Game Changers, which is
yeah. Oh yeah. I watched something that Mike reposted or something about like Game Changers being like debunked or something
from Lane Norton.
Yeah, can you like kind of dabble into that for me because I didn't really like.
Well, so here's the thing. Full transparency, I haven't even watched the documentary.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but here's what I have done. So I am friends with some of the most renowned functional medicine doctors who, in addition to being very tuned in to other functional medicine doctors at this elite level, scientists, and what I have. And it's like, I don't want to buy it because I don't want to give the movie money. But I kind of want to do it just so I can say like, okay, I saw it. But it's almost like I don't need to if she saw it and she knows. It's that kind of thing. Does that make sense to you?
Oh.
Like the people that I trust and that I know who don't have a dog in the fight. So the what I've learned is that it wasn't so much about promoting the vegan diet. Like, oh, this is how you can do it as an athlete. Like it was about, this is the best, and that's horrible. Like, so it was putting down, the meat eating and you're that's horrible. You can't do that. First of all, there was no real science, and it's just been debunked. Like,
I've seen it. Yeah,
my girl, Dr. Gabrielle Lyon, who is a phenomenal functional integrative physician. And she is like the queen of muscle protein synthesis and can talk about this whole subject. Yeah. She put up a post recently that like gives me chills because I'm like, you just got served. And she does it and not in a way of like, it's not anti-vegan. I'm not anti-vegan. Yeah. It's not about that. I'm not anti-vegan, anti-vegetarian. Neither is she. Yeah. But don't like
just completely shit on something.
And also, like, you don't have real science here. Because the problem is that, especially when you're talking about diet and things like this, if people actually believe you, and let's just say those people may need, because red meat is actually, specifically red meat, is so nutrient dense. I was anemic. I didn't know. I didn't eat meat for years. Found out. Started eating meat. So grateful I did. But at the time, like before I even started eating meat, I started doing all this research and just discovered the value in it. And I was like, oh God, I kind of wish I did eat meat. But mentally, after 17 years, I was like, I needed a catalyst. And then when I found out I was anemic, I was like, that's it. Yeah, I'm gonna fucking eat a steak, and I don't care, you know. And it's like,
what was your first steak like when you were like?
To be honest,
did you ease into it?
It was.
Or did you just I like full on. Just
no, I went full on, but like. I think it was it wasn't good to me. I mean, and I'm like the grass fed, like everything's organic, but I think they overcooked the steak.
Oh yeah, you can't have that.
You can't have that, right? You can't have that. But so that in addition to the first time after 17 years, but what I did is I made sure that I brought home steak, like, because I wasn't going to try and cook it yet, you know?
Yeah.
So around the corner I had this spot that I go to, grass fed, made sure that was in my fridge throughout the whole week. And by day 3, I was like, yes, please. Yeah, like you know, and so, and I'm lifting strong, like I'm definitely stronger. Everything's just functioning, and I do comprehensive blood labs, so I do like a full fucking check of everything, and everything is just it's elevated. So my point is this: is like, listen, you know, you can't sit here and put down a diet that could be that for the most part for the average person is actually this piece that you're basically calling like the worst thing ever is so fundamentally important to optimize people's health. Yeah. And you're putting that down, and so you know, if people start to really believe that and take that away, and now they're eating all this, like, because for the most part when people are eating vegan or vegetarian food, they're eating like a shit ton of carbohydrates and you know, processed foods, and that's a problem. Yeah, you know,
that's true. Because like vegan, I mean, it depends on like what you're eating and stuff like that. But yeah, I can see why one would kind of gravitate towards carbs, like if they.
Well, yeah, because you're like, oh, well, I'm just gonna have the rice and the beans, or look at all this like fake meat thing, and it's like, I don't know. There's like all kinds of stuff out there that, again, that's processed. Yeah. But you know, or the breads and then the crackers and then the, you know, and it's you know, it's vegan. It's good. And that, you know, just to kind of echo in a very, like in layman's terms, I guess, my friend, Gabrielle Lyon, Dr. Gabrielle Lyon, I've had her on the podcast. She's incredible. But we start to lose muscle as we get older, right? And it can happen around 40, something like that. 30, 40, I don't know, 40, I think. Anyways, don't quote me on these numbers. But the two ways that you keep your muscles healthy, basically, and developed is resistance training. Okay. Like real weights, you know, and eating high-quality protein. So high-quality protein means animal protein, right? Because we need the full range of amino acids at a certain level too, right? So if you are not resistance training, and if you are not getting in this high-quality protein, and you need a certain amount throughout the day, right? Yeah. Especially as you start to get older. When you're younger, you can get away with a lot more, right? But when you start to get into those older years, and you're not doing these things, little by little, you're losing the muscle, you're not putting back, and your muscles are an endocrine organ. So if you think about it like this, you know, if you're 60 years old, that's not even old, but we'll just use that number. 60 years old, don't really have good muscle health, you fall and you break your hip. Yeah. We know this is a common thing where people die, like it's like break your hip, there's like a joke about it, and then something like you get taken out because you can't walk, so you're bedridden. Yeah. And what happens when you're bedridden? You start to lose more muscle. Yeah. So if you already don't have good muscle, and now you're losing that muscle, that's a fucking problem.
Yeah, it's a big problem.
So then people get pneumonia, and then they'll get wiped out. Yeah. So you got to look at it like these muscles are like the bank. This is, I think Gabrielle actually says, I listen to so much stuff, I don't know if it, you know, and I don't want to misquote, but it's basically along the lines of like, these are your reserves. Yeah. To keep your body healthy, your immune, like to keep you to keep you alive and healthy in longevity, with longevity. Sorry. Mm-hmm. So, and she worked for years in geriatrics. And so she was at the bedside of a lot of dying people who had they been doing things in their earlier years to promote muscle health. That death could have potentially not happened in that way, And so I love listening to her and her science. And, this is, again, going back to the documentary that I will see just so I can actually speak to. Yeah. But it bothers me because I'm like, again, it's not about not being vegan. There's, people don't eat meat for different reasons. And no one, I'm not, and the people that I respect no one's trying to shit on that at all.
Yeah, I think that's my thing. Is like, okay, if you're vegan, cool. Like, if that works for you, cool.
Yeah.
But if you're like this kind of crazy, like everything else sucks, like you're wrong, you're being poisoned, like then I feel like there's an issue because different things work for different people.
100%.
You know what I'm saying? And I feel like that's it.
Different things
it's not. It's almost like it's not even an issue it's not even about the diet anymore.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like this mob mentality.
It is, and it's horrible. And you got to think like you can't do that with food because we need. Our body is a system of systems, and we all need things differently for these systems that we are living in. And so to be able to, kind of give this blanket statement of this is the best diet or even this is the best workout for, like, what? Run the other fucking way. And what's worse is to put down, and it's and essentially really lie. Like you're this is so misleading. Yeah. So that's just some shit. It's been an interesting. I don't really get triggered much, but this I'm like admitting that this shit has triggered me because I read things and I'm like, I'm seeing like you don't need to eat animals. I'm like, girl, do you know what ferritin is? You probably don't, right? Yeah. Which is important. It's like iron, basically, right? And you're saying this to everyone. Yeah. And meanwhile, like, you're not... Do you even know how to read a comprehensive blood lab? Do you even get a comprehensive blood lab? Yeah. The only people that should be giving out these kind of information are the people that are...
high-end doctors.
Who fucking know how to understand the system of systems and see, like, where you are deficient, where you need more, and, like... Yeah. Doesn't that make sense?
It makes total sense.
It's like, what the fuck?
But people... It just makes sense because, like... People, like, if it works for that person, right? For some people think it's like, okay, this has to be the way. Yes.
I love that you say that.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, one person, like, let's just say I am vegan, or let's just say I'm a carnivore. There's carnivore diets, right? Yeah. Say I'm a carnivore. Jordan Peterson's actually a carnivore. And
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's a carnivore.
Yeah.
And he said, it has completely changed my life. Every single autoimmune disease I had, gum disease, depression, all that completely gone, right? Yeah. So, okay, but you could be vegan and that could happen to you too. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I think just to say, like, okay, let's just say Jordan Peterson would say, this is the only way you should do it. Right. Or this is the only way you should go. Then there's an issue.
I agree. And that, that's the thing, like, even the things that I share, which I'm careful not to... I'm never prescribing. I don't feel, even though you could say that there are certain aspects like journaling, but just in a way that's like I'm prescribing this for you. But I am always very clear to say, like, this is what's worked for me. Yeah. This is, if we're talking about mindset, that's a huge piece, right? This is the formula that has allowed me to live a very empowered life from this very empowered mind. But I am a huge advocate for questioning, for self-reliance. Yeah. So, take this information, think about it. Yeah. Investigate. Investigate.
Prove me wrong if you can, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, or even just, like, look deep into it because, if we're talking about diet or whatever, like, don't just take my word for it. Yeah. Fucking learn. Yeah, investigate, because that's going to empower you. Yeah. And then you can really decide, like, oh, well, maybe I do need this, or maybe actually because of this, I'm going to actually go see this doctor, and then this doctor is actually telling me. I'm just saying, like, don't be so quick to just, like, consume the information
Yeah.
and then think that's like, now listen, there are people that I think you will build a relationship with who you can trust because they are living results that are examples of proof.
Yes.
That's powerful.
Yes.
You know, but you also have to know how to decipher, because there's a lot of people who live the front.
Yes.
And aren't living the truth, right?
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's true too. It's like you have to be super careful about who you take your advice from.
Yes.
Because like it's like, okay, they could, like, for example, someone could be, I know a lot of people that are in very good shape, but they live super unhealthy lifestyles.
Yeah. They're not healthy.
They're not healthy. Like,
right.
They're like, yeah, like I know a lot of people that are like in like,
they might have
shredded.
the six pack.
Yeah, but it's like, how? Like,
yeah.
And sometimes I'll get jealous. I'm like, man. Yeah. But it's like, whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, oh my God, like, you're lucky, man. Or girl, whatever it is.
Right.
But the point I was trying to get to this. So, what's it called? Like, yeah, you said, like, we said that there's certain things that work for certain people, and that's cool, right? But there is some things where you're just like, I don't know. Like, if that works for you, cool, but, like, that's probably bullshit. Like, for example, like, I work at a restaurant on the weekends, right? Okay. Right down the street, CBK, actually. A lot of carbs, pizza, right?
Yeah.
And I was talking to this guy, right? And he got a bunch of pizzas, and he was like, yeah. And I'm like, yeah, man, like, a lot of carbs, right? Carb up.
Yeah. And
he was like, yeah, man, like, I only eat carbs. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Oh, shit.
And then I'm like, wait, what do you mean? Right? I'm just interested. I'm like, he goes, I only eat carbs.
Yeah.
Like, breads, any kind of carb, that's all I eat.
Oh, my gosh. That's horrible.
And he's in, like, good like, he was, like, tall and, like, in good shape.
Yeah.
He goes, I blame, like, I feel great, all that stuff, and I only eat carbs.
Yeah, you know what's funny about the whole feel great thing?
Yeah.
You don't really know what feel great is until... Let me say this. Like, I felt great when I was anemic, right? Lifting weights, doing all the shit that I do. Like, just genuinely, like, my mood, like, people, I'm positive. Okay, I'm positive. I feel more aligned with the word empowered. Yeah. Because when shit sucks, I'll just call it out. But you know what I mean? Just keeping it real.
Yeah.
But yeah,
be
overall,
real like the shirt.
Yeah, exactly. Be real like the shirt, exactly.
She's wearing a Be Real shirt.
Yeah, exactly. Roots of fight. Yeah. No, but I think, my disposition for sure in life is like, it's elevated, it's high.
Yes,
it's like,
yes.
You know? But, you know, when I found that out, and then I start supplementing and I start incorporating, you know, grass-fed red meat into my diet, now it's on another level where like, I mean, I'm lifting stronger. I feel more energized. I mean, straight up, like, hair was starting to shed. Hair was shedding. I mean, you always have some hair shedding.
Yeah.
But, like, no, not like that anymore, you know?
Wow.
So, you don't know. This is the thing. I'm always so baited by what does better feel like? What does better look like? Even now, feel great now. Could I feel better? Not to say that I don't value and appreciate what I feel and but it's like, I love chasing that carrot of better, you know?
Do you, that kind of leads me to my next question. Do you have, like, a goal, like an end goal? As far, like, physically? Or
physically?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, to be fucking cognitively on fire, you know, in the later decades of my life.
Got it, okay.
And yeah.
You know, I've actually just finished David Goggins' book, Can't Hurt Me, right? And I didn't finish, I'm almost done. But there's a chapter in it where he says, like, there is no end.
Yeah,
right?
There's not.
And he goes, like, you constantly have, like, once you reach a goal, you have to keep going, you have to keep going, you have to keep going. Like, you feel good. Like, for example, you feel good. Now I got to feel better. Then you feel better. Now I got to feel better.
Yeah.
So I was always raised, my dad actually told me, he's like, once you hit that goal, you'll be happy. Right? This was, like, for
that's interesting.
a long time.
Yeah.
A long time, right? I'm not going to specifically say what he said.
Yeah.
But he goes, or I went, like, okay, once I get there, boom. That's life.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, what? Like, after that? Like, I could reach that goal when I'm 35. Right? It's like, now what? And I never thought about that, now what? And now I'm like, I'm in that process now where I'm thinking about it. I'm like, holy shit, there is no I'm done. You know what I'm saying?
No, I mean, I think that, you know, I speak to this often too, is like, you can have a goal. This is why, and maybe cliche, but I really do believe that the journey is the reward. It's the journey.
Yeah.
It's all the nuances along the way. It's the discoveries. It's the challenges. It's the, the success. It's the beating the challenges. These things. It's all of this stuff, because you can have a goal, but by the time you reach the goal, you're already looking at the next goal.
Exactly.
So then what is the thing? The thing is, it's the in between.
Yes.
Right? And what happens when you really start to consider that as like, oh shit, this might actually be the case. Well, you're going to be more present along the way.
Absolutely.
You're going to pay more attention and you're going to care more along the way, so that you can really, extract the most from this process.
Yes.
And so, and that, what does that do? That gives you that's a wealthy life.
Yes.
That's a rich life.
Yes,
because
absolutely.
you're not just like shooting, like trying to shoot. Okay, got that. Okay, and now I'm going there, and now I'm going there, and then you turn around, you're like, wait, what the fuck? How did 20 years just go by? Like,
exactly.
Who am I?
Exactly. And I feel like so many people live that way.
Yeah.
And that's how I thought it was supposed to be. That's how I thought life was supposed to be. Like, okay, keep going for that goal. Like, once you hit that goal, boom.
Yeah.
It's like, no, like, actually, like, enjoy the process. Like, I always heard, trust the process. Like, because I played football growing up, right?
Yeah.
Trust the process. Like, respect the process.
Yeah.
And it's like, what? No, I'm just trying to win. You know what I'm saying? Fuck the process. Like, if we win, we win. Like, you know what I'm saying? But, like, and my coach would always say that. He goes, like, trust. Like, once this goal, like, let's just say you win and then your time runs up, right?
Yeah.
It's like, you're not really going to care about the wins and the losses. You're going to care about, the walk to practice. Like, you're going to care about, like, when you're with your friends and you're on the field just chilling inside. Like, those are the moments you're going to miss.
It's true.
Not, like, when you're winning the game.
No, it's very true.
And, like, I didn't realize that until it was all over.
Yeah.
And he's old and wise now. He just retired. But he goes, like...
He's old and wise now.
But that's what he said. Like, throughout my football career, is like, those are the times you're gonna miss. Like, all this doesn't really matter. And then I didn't realize that until probably like a year or two after. I'm like, whoa, that's true.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of in that process. Like, no, like, enjoy.
How fun for you.
Yeah. Like, like, enjoy, like, every, like, almost like every second, like,
Yeah. Well, to
because
the best of your ability.
To the best of your ability, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
So, but in general, like, like, I didn't. I'll be honest. It's actually kind of like a scary thought to me.
Oh, yeah?
Like, there is no end. Like, keep going. Because I've always, like, I was rooted. That was rooted inside me. Like, once you hit this goal, you've made it.
Well, that's the funny thing, because you've assigned a meaning.
Yes.
And that's the thing, is like, I say this very often, but, one day in my meditation, because I have conversations with my highest self, call my muse. And she said, because I was troubled on this particular day for whatever reason, and she said to me something so powerful that will forever put me in the driver's seat when I feel emotionally astray. Like, she said to me, Rox, nothing means anything except the meaning that you decide to give to it.
Yes.
Nothing means anything except the meaning that you decide to give to it. So you're placing value. You're assigning meaning to. When you're there, then like, oh, you've made it. And, to me, it's interesting that you say that scares you, because like that there is no end. Well, let me tell you that there actually is. We are all going to die. Yeah. And that is something that I love to remind myself as a constant. It sounds morbid, but it's not. It's science. It's a reality. We are going to die. And hopefully peacefully, like in not some kind of tragic way, but to realize that we have a finite amount of days to like really consider that this is not a motherfucking dress rehearsal. So what are you doing? What are you doing? How are you doing? It's like, live, go, like there's not going to be another time. Like, I don't know about anything after this life, so I can't speak to that, but just to put value on the days that you do have here. And so for you, it's like, it's going to end one day, but you have this, however many years you get to be here, this opportunity to continuously I really believe it's all about fucking self-discovery, and then in that also contributing.
Yes.
Like, we are living together, and I love feeling and knowing that I am an actual contributor to our society, to our life, to this earth.
Yes.
You know, because there are certainly a lot of people who are not contributing, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, part of being a non-contributor, in my opinion, stems from being asleep and just walking through life, and because you're not conscious, you're not caring as much, you can't be as compassionate, you can't be as respectful. You know, you think of, like, going back to our homie Naval. That is a fucking contributor.
Yes.
Right?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, how many people that he's touched is probably insane.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? Like, it is true. Like, it doesn't really scare me, but it's just kind of, you know, it's kind of...
It's a big thought.
It's a big thought, and it's, you know, having those kind of thoughts are kind of... They freak you out because it's like, whoa, like, in my entire life, I've thought this one thing. Yeah. And then you end up realizing, like, no, it's not fucking true.
Yeah.
Like, whoa.
Yeah.
You know? So it's just kind of that.
Yeah, totally.
But, it made me... it's kind of like I had to kind of re-engineer the way I thought about it. It's just, like, completely. Because, like, here I am, I was thinking, like, whoa, once I, like, I've always reached for this day, like, I just want to chill. You know what I'm saying? I just want to know that I've made it and just chill.
Yeah, well, I think it's like, what are you defining as made it?
Exactly. Well, those are specific things, you know what I'm saying? Or, well, like, I wanted to, like... I wanted to be, like, free. Like, I didn't want to answer to anybody completely. Like, I wanted to have, like, the amount of money that I needed to not answer to anybody. Have my own place. Like, just kind of, like, these little things that I thought to myself, like, once I get that, I'm good. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But it's like...
Life is a little bit more complex than that.
Exactly.
Because you can have those things tomorrow, but again, if you don't have self-connection, as an example, that is a hollow life. Yes. If you don't have a good sense of self-connection, guaranteed you're also not going to have great relationships in your life.
Yeah. Well, you've worked with a lot of celebrities, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's like the nature of my business, and you know, as a makeup artist. What
is that like? When you kind of talk to them?
Well, I've never seen, and this is probably why I've been able to accelerate in the field, because I don't see anybody as better or different, or I can certainly admire, you know, people who perform at a high level, obviously, and generate, you know, excellent work. That for sure I do, but like, I've never, I think about this because I remember thinking about this as a kid. Never. I've never been someone to be like, oh, there's, like, I don't care. And I don't say that in an irreverent way. Like, you know, the people who can get me are like, maybe if it's something in music, because you've touched my heart. I'm such a music, like, you know, maybe something. But even still, I still wouldn't, if I was in a room with you and you're like the person I admire most in music, you know, there's a very good chance that, like, you know, I might express some love, but, like, maybe not even, because, and even, like, in my inner circle, I have a lot of high-profile friends, and it's always been the case for me. And so, on that side, so it's, like, one part experience working, then other parts even just...
Being around them as friends.
Yeah, and seeing how people are. It's really fucking interesting.
Yeah.
It's a trip to me, actually. We're like, how... but, you know, everyone's different. So my experience is just, I don't have any statements in terms of, like, that would differentiate the human to be something more than another human. Yeah. If that makes sense.
No, I get it. What I'm trying to ask, though, like, is, like, did you see that kind of, like, I guess what I'm trying to get at is most, or not most, but I feel like a lot of celebrities live that hollow life, you know? And I guess with you working with those celebrities, and I feel like you're a very intuitive person, and you're good at kind of reading how people are. Yeah. Did you kind of see that, like, when you would talk to them, like, oh, this person, like, is living kind of like a hollow life?
I mean, I wouldn't say that, you know, I've been working with people who live a hollow life. I think that everyone has I mean, I know where you're going with it. Like, in terms of like a lot of times, you know, people that are high profile and, you know, have a lot of attention on them externally, can have a harder time having this kind of inner richness.
Yeah.
Because of what happens when you are getting this constant external validation, and also like, you know, being pulled outside, like people need you and you have to perform. And so, you know, we've watched these movies, like we know these stories, right? But I can't say that in my personal experience, that I've really experienced much of that. And I think also because I don't know, I mean, I worked with so many people, but the people that I would work with consistently, there's nothing that I'm gonna say like, oh no, I feel like we all have our kind of inner battles. Yeah. And I haven't really, in my personal experience, experienced anyone that has been suffering from this kind of story that we know we were just talking about, you know? Yeah. Yeah. But it definitely obviously exists, like celebrity or not, like that shit's happening, right?
Yeah, for sure. You said that you have these conversations like with your higher self, right?
Yes.
Like do you believe that is a whole different kind of entity within yourself? Or do you believe it's just a part of...
I think it's a part of me.
Got it, okay.
Yeah.
Do you think that everyone should strive to kind of connect with them? Everybody?
I mean, you know...
And do you believe everyone has that higher self?
I mean, I would like to think so, because I feel that, you know, as humans, we're all very unique, but I think that there are some universal things that we are designed with. Yeah. And so, you know, like, listen, the science geek in me, like, is like, you can't say yes to that because you don't know for sure. Yeah. You know what I mean? But the artist in me, right, because there's two always happening over here, would say, I would like to think that there is that in everybody. It's built in with everybody. Do I think that everyone should strive for that? I will say that it has certainly provided an immense amount of just harmony and inner peace for myself in my life because I have that connection. And at this point of my life, I can honestly say that one of the things I value most is peace, inner peace. And because it's actually, when you think about it, I think it's what most people don't have. Like, you know, and especially nowadays, like we're always in fucking the sympathetic state, you know, like fight or flight. Yeah. So when you like, even going back to I made it, right? And like financially sound, you got your place, but really you're like, so I could just be like, you know, like I don't have to answer to anybody. Yeah. What is that? Really, I was looking for my inner peace. Yeah. You're exactly. Inner peace, right? And we have different pathways that will support us to arrive to this state of inner peace, right? So, you know, I mean, I'm going to say, like, try and hang out with your highest self. Yeah. You know, because it hasn't served me wrong. And if anything, it's only becoming more, it's proving to be more powerful in terms of support for me, especially as a path creator, like completely solopreneur, navigating my life from full intuition, you know, and then also providing me, like, honestly, joy. It's like I'm going through life with a homie. Yeah. And that homie is me. So, like, I never, you know, lonely, like, things that, like, there's always this fucking other part of me that is with me. And she's just, and she's always got my back. And that right there is some powerful ass shit. Yeah. Because when things are hard, and I face challenge every single day, you know, again, solopreneur, doing the thing intuitively. But when you know you can lean into, I insource. That's what I call it. Yeah. Insourcing. Have your external people and things you believe in, all the things. I'm not, because I mean, I do too. People that I would call my family. But I have, especially because having this connection, I can lean into self and feel so supported and soothe myself. I can remedy myself if I'm troubled. I can get the strength that I need when I feel like, you know, anxious or whatever. It takes time.
That's what I was about to say. It probably takes time to get to that. Like, I feel like when you in-source, like you said, you get this positive, supportive voice.
This empowered employer.
Empowered, yeah, exactly. Whereas I feel like, for example, like with me sometimes, or with other people when they in-source, like you said, you get a lot of noise. You get a lot of noise. You know?
Exactly.
A lot of negative, not negative.
It could be negative.
Yeah, it could be negative, but
disempowering and negative.
Disempowering, all that, right? And it's like, oh shit, I'm not gonna in-source. Never mind.
Exactly.
You go and fuck that shit.
Yeah.
But and like you said, for example, with me, I feel like there's different things that I can do to kind of fix that.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm not saying it's like this completely kind of shattered thing that you should never try to fix.
Well, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Haven't you ever been in a position where, like, you had a feeling that you should do something and maybe you did it and then you're like, I knew I should have done this. Yeah. Or maybe you didn't and you're like, fuck, I knew I should have.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But what is that feeling?
What? Damn.
It's a real thing.
Yeah.
It's a real thing. So if you take that example and you understand that, you can actually expand that. Yeah. You know, I'm in a place now where that thing that, like, you should do that thing, I'm having conversations with that thing now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I've had a podcast actually directly talking about that voice, right?
Yeah.
He said that the way you kind of work on that, right, is if you you have to build trust with yourself, because like
100%.
you know what I'm saying? If you don't trust yourself, you're not going to trust your voice, right?
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, and I've constantly, like, now, before when I was thinking, or when I was listening to Jordan Peterson, it's like, you shouldn't trust yourself.
Yeah.
If you're not in the position that you want to be in, you shouldn't trust that inner voice, right?
How did that make you feel to hear that?
I totally believed it.
You believed it?
I believe, because I thought to myself, like, because okay. So growing up, right, I was so onto, like, the law of attraction, like positive thinking, everything that I think, like, I was trying to monitor every single thought that came into my head.
Yeah.
Right? And it worked. It was working.
Yeah.
Like, my life was good.
Yeah.
Right? Don't get me wrong, shit happened, right? But the mindset I had when it came to it, right?
Yeah.
I was like, I'm all right, right? And that, one thing I took from that is, like, I would say I'm pretty resilient, right, when it comes to certain things. But then, like, it came to the point where, like, after high school, right, when I stopped playing football, right, and that my identity was, like, I kind of formed my identity based on the relationships that I had with other people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, not validate, like,
there's probably that too.
There was the validation. Like, I didn't think to myself, like, oh, I'm only cool because these people like me. Like, I genuinely thought, like, I was, you know, I was like a cool dude, you know? But I put a lot of emphasis on those relationships that I had, right? And then once I kind of got out of high school, those relationships kind of, obviously they drift and stuff like that, right? So now here I am with only myself.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm not playing football anymore, right? So I gained, like, a lot of weight.
Yeah.
And I'm thrown into the world.
Yeah.
Figure it out, bro.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm like, shit, like, I'm like screwed right now, right? And then I'm like, I'm working and I'm kind of making bad, like, financial decisions. I'm just like, man, like, what? The law of attraction, it's kind of failing me right now, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, maybe there's other ways, right?
Yeah.
Maybe there's other ways I can go about this. And I started kind of looking into other people, and then Jordan Peterson said, like, that kind of feeling that you have, like, you have to, or the thought of getting uncomfortable, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, no, you should always be comfortable. You will operate in an optimal way if you are comfortable, right?
Right.
You should be in a state of peace and happiness when you operate.
Right.
Which is true, right? But getting uncomfortable is what, like, I've learned a lot about myself in those uncomfortable situations, right? But so I thought to myself, like, okay, yeah, don't try, like, so getting uncomfortable made me learn so much about myself, and it made me happy, and it helped, like, with my stress and stuff like that. Mostly, like, from martial arts, like rolling and stuff like that.
Yeah, of course.
So I'm gonna talk to myself, like, yeah, don't trust your voice. Like, don't believe in that. You gotta get uncomfortable, right?
Yeah.
You gotta go do that shitty stuff. Fuck, like, what you're, like, don't try to be happy and be comfortable and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
Go do those things.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, but now I'm like, And then I kind of got into like this negative state, right?
Yeah.
And now I'm hearing this from you, like, no, you should have that connection with your higher self is so strong. It's like, man, that's super interesting. I want to try to get there.
Yeah, well, I think a few things that I'll point out from what you said is...
Sorry, I went down like a rabbit hole.
No, it's okay. I'm Roxy Rabbit Hole. No, but I think, just a couple things I'll throw at you from what you said is this, you don't want to override, again, going back to process. Like, yeah, okay, sure, when you're to perform at a high level, you want to be in a state of harmony and peace. Like, you want to feel good. You don't want to be tense. You don't want to be anxious, when you have to perform at a high level. That's ideal, but that ain't always going to be the case. Mm-hmm. Think about, I'm looking up at, your basketball pictures.
Yeah, I actually don't even watch basketball.
Okay, well.
but I have a bunch of basketball pictures up there.
Listen, think of, fights.
Yes.
You're in the octagon, you're in it. We know that a lot of times it comes down to who in the mind is most capable in the most dangerous situations.
Yes.
Because more often than not, the fighters are coming out with both, especially in the UFC, strong skill sets, on both parts, and then it's a total operation of the mind, right?
Yes.
You're not always going to have this sound environment for you to be performing at. Mm-hmm. So then it really comes down to who can perform the best under pressure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who can create the harmony with the pressure.
Yes.
Well, how do you think that happens? How did George St. Pierre become... You got to go through shit. Yeah. To understand this. You need the stimulus to learn how to handle the things.
Yes.
So you can't... In my opinion, law of attraction, which, by the way, if you're really into this, you should know who James Allen is. You got to go back to the 1800s and beyond that, because the law of attraction, there's a movie made based off of a science, pseudoscience idea. And when I say that, I am all about manifestation. Yeah. My fucking life is proof. It's undeniable, Manifesting badass right here, straight up. But what I do believe that, and I have to be careful because I'll go down a rabbit hole, but I don't think it's a total dismiss of the law of attraction didn't work. I think you're dismissing the reality that you have to go through contrast. You have to, you're not going to learn about yourself, and you're certainly not going to develop yourself without the contrast, without the challenge, right? But it's, I don't know, and I don't even know if Jordan meant it like that. Again, I need to actually listen to him to know what he's saying.
Yeah. But I don't even know if he meant it like that either, but in general, that's what I took from it.
Yeah, because I do think that there is a point, there are some dialogue situations that can happen where it's no, you don't want that. Mm-hmm. Let me tell you this. When the brain senses discomfort, the brain wants to keep us safe. Yes. So I'm going to give you one quick example. It's super easy. Okay. So I do these beach runs. I live at the beach, right? And I love doing long distance soft sand runs. Yeah. Barefoot.
I see that on your stories.
Yeah, it's the best. It's super primal. Feels so good. Some days I'm oh my God, I can't wait to get out there. Other days I'm oh, okay, is it time yet? Okay, no, let me clean the counter a little bit more. It's hot outside, and because I know I'm about to throw down. It's going to be hard. Yes. It's hard. And so, one day I was walking out, and there it goes, the mind. You don't have to run a whole 10K. You could actually just walk halfway. You can you do so much. You could actually take this day off. All this stuff. And what was so funny and so cool about the situation is I'm watching my thoughts. This is again why I will say that writing is so powerful. Writing has allowed me the ability to witness my thoughts, as has meditation. I have a very strong meditation practice. Yeah. So I'm kind of humoring this mind situation, these thoughts.
You're playing with it.
I can't control them. The brain senses danger, right? Or what perceived danger, discomfort, right? Yeah. And so it starts sounding the alarms. One can say these are negative thoughts. They're not negative, and obviously there are those too, but this is just trying to stop me from moving towards the challenge. Yeah. Right? So maybe this is something Jordan was trying to say. It's like, you don't want to listen to that, right? Because there's challenges you want to move towards, right?
Yeah.
And so for me, what was so funny about that is one part I'm like, really? You think this is hilarious? I'm watching my brain do this. And what it actually did for me, I'm like, oh, do you really? Now, shut up before I make you run 10 miles now. Like, that's because I'm the boss. Because I have developed such a strong connection to understand what's actually happening. Remember the intruders?
Yeah.
And also understanding the science of the brain. And understanding that you're not your thoughts. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So this is biology taking place now, like sensing like almost like the lion's going to come attack you.
Yeah.
So your body's going a little bit into fight or flight. And Roxanne, though, someone who has a very strong connection with self, and you know, for me, I'm like, you simmer down before I make this body run even longer.
Yeah.
And then I just like kind of laughed at so I threw that example in to say that it's not black and white, and you have to go through shit to learn who you. I mean, I think that's universal.
Yes.
You know, to discover more about who you are and what you're capable of, and then you start to decipher also like what works for you, what doesn't work, what do you like, what do you not like, what do you believe in, and this is where leadership comes in too.
Yes, absolutely.
You know, because then you're able to go, well, actually, you know, it's funny. I just looked at that like, what an leadership. That's
right.
Funny. I didn't even. But you know, when you think about it, Jordan's standing in a place of leadership for himself.
Yes.
I'm standing in a place of leadership for myself. But I'm not saying that you need to subscribe to what I'm saying. I'm just saying that in this is what has been proven to work for me in my life. And maybe there are parts of it that are provocative to you, and that you now will go and investigate and sample in your own life. And in that, maybe you're going to discover your own techniques and your own things about yourself that then the next time you're talking to, you know what I mean? And
well, what stuck out with what you just said there is like, you are not your thoughts, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's what the law of attraction says. You are your thoughts, right? In The Secret, I'm assuming you've seen the documentary, right?
Well, that's what I meant, like the movie.
Yeah.
Came
it's like,
out,
you are your thoughts. Man is who he thinks. And they go to these, like, Albert Einstein, Thomas Edison. It's like, man is who he or she
there's
thinks.
a piece of that makes sense. But this is why, and my brother, I love it. It's like, it's lazy thinking. You can't say you are your thoughts, because your thoughts are so many different things.
Exactly.
And there's so many different reasons that are influencing your thoughts.
Yes.
Like, this is where people can get in trouble.
Yes.
Because, again, like, just to make the example, if you have a shitty lifestyle, when I say shitty, meaning it's not conducive to optimizing your health, and health from mental, you know, all physiologically, and you're trying to, like, think happy thoughts.
Yeah.
And then you're not having these happy thoughts, and now you're like, oh my God, this is who I am.
Yeah.
But really, you need some fucking vitamin D and sleep, and like stop watching the news at 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah, exactly.
Change that up, and then see what happens with these thoughts.
I agree. One thing I learned, actually, from your brother, actually, was on his Instagram, he posted, he goes, it was actually a whole segment on like lazy thinking, right? On my story, right? And I'm like, yeah, I agree. And then one thing he said that stuck out to me was like, I don't believe in oversimplifying things, right?
He's so good at that.
And I'm like, that's so true. Like,
really good at that.
And then, so I kind of went down this kind of investigation thing about that, right? And then Joe Rogan popped up.
Yeah.
And it was like, in the law of attraction, Joe Rogan, right? He goes, I don't believe in that's the only way, or let's just say whether it's being successful or getting in shape or being happy, right? The law of attraction isn't the only way there. He goes, I believe it's a part of it.
Sure,
he goes, I think it's a part of being successful in whatever it is you do, but it's not the way.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly.
And that like was so powerful to me. It's like, why are you choosing this one thing to define how you go about life? You know what I'm saying? There's so many different ways. There's so many different things that you have to instill, like, to get there.
And that's why, and this is the full circle to the conversation, that's why I really believe that operating, like, you do the work to be able to trust and lean into your intuitive self.
Yeah,
because that's the ultimate guidance system.
Yeah.
Not the law of attraction, not Roxanne Saffaie, not Joe Rogan, not the carnivore diet, not, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like fucking that inner being that is you.
Yeah.
that we all, I believe, come downloaded with.
Yes.
And you learn how to listen to that, and you learn how to lean in and trust that, and then you add these pieces that make sense to you, that you believe in, and now you're in your own lane. Now you're a fucking path creator, and you're not a part of any club.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
But you are universally, you're contributing to life. Like,
yes.
Yeah.
You're not letting life happen to you.
You also have your own wisdom to speak
yeah.
from, and and that's powerful.
Super powerful, definitely. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Like, when you think that way and you have your own, or when you instill those, what you just said like stuck out to me. It's like, kind of do the things that would help you instill that trust within yourself.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's what I'm trying to do, like, right now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And sometimes you got to take the chance and maybe fail, and
yes.
you have to put yourself in positions that you would rather not be in.
Yeah.
But don't confuse those situations as you did the wrong thing, because the lessons that you learn and the way that you develop yourself from navigating through that challenge was fundamental.
Yeah.
And you only know that when it's like the hindsight is 2020. You know when you look back, because you're like, oh shit, you can connect the dots.
Yeah.
But that's where the trust has to come in too. Like,
yeah.
Okay, I trust that, and when you're being an idiot too. Like, let's be fucking real.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
When you're being dumb.
When, like, this is not coming from, like, but when you really investigate, like, look, one of the questions that, like, I love to ask, like, did you give it your best every day? Like, did you give it your best today? Did you give it? I did, with what I know, with what I have today, I actually did my best, right?
Yes.
Tomorrow I will do better. Tomorrow I could probably do better, because I'll probably know more, have more, something, right? This is honesty to me. This is probably like the big top off piece to this whole conversation. If you don't have honesty within self, forget about the whole thing. You're not going to have self connection.
Yes.
You're not going to, because you cannot learn if you are not being real.
Yes.
But it's scary to be real. For some people, don't want to face that. They don't want to face. There's a lot of discomfort that can come from that,
Yeah.
Or if they felt like they were making if they made a challenge, or not challenge, they made I'm going to cough right now. If they made a mistake or they failed, it's like a lot of people don't want to face that. They don't want to face the hard things, but I'm going to tell you right now, like, if you're not willing to face that, if you're not willing to be real, like, you can't grow. And you also can't grow if you're judging. You can't learn and judge at the very same time. Like, if you think about that, you can't be in a state of learning and judging, because judging is like you've concluded. Yeah. Right? But learning is like you're in an open state of discovery.
How do you feel about, like, being honest with yourself, judging with yourself, right? Should that voice, right, that you're...
so sorry.
No, you're good, no worries.
Oh my God. Sorry.
You're good, no worries. When you're judging yourself, right, should that voice be, like, tough on you? Or should you kind of treat yourself, like, kindly? People say treat yourself kindly.
That's really interesting that you
right?
that.
Or should you be like, no, fuck that, like, get your shit together, Assad, or...
Yeah, so...
Roxanne, like...
So I...
what's your voice like? Are you kind to yourself?
Yeah.
Or like...
I'm very, very fucking pro-self.
Yes.
Like, meaning... okay, so to keep this simple... this has developed, over the years for me in a very powerful way, where it's like I don't even subscribe to the you against you like thing. I get where that came. I used to say that, like, no, I don't compete with anybody. I compete with myself. And now I'm like, dude, but that's not even true, because I'm not even competing with myself. I'm like fucking backing my shit up. So it's really you got you. So like right now in New York, I just had this whole fucking high performing week where every single hour had something going on except for the time I was sleeping. A dinner, a meeting, a phone call, a podcast, then it's like you gotta eat, you gotta train, and it demanded the very best of me. And as I'm going through it, I'm talking to myself, obviously internally, but even externally. Rox, come on, you got this shit. Like, come on, you. Now listen, it's super supportive. Like, okay, all right, queen, let's do this shit. Like, but sometimes it's like, okay, bitch, like, we gotta find, like, let's, like, it's like that, so it's not like, there are times for sure where maybe I feel like maybe I'm being hard on myself. Maybe I don't, and I have that dialogue where it's like, Rox, listen, you know you're doing your best. You know it. Because if you've searched every part of your being and you are showing up fully. So give yourself this space. Like, just trust. Like, just, you're good. I will totally soothe myself like that in dialogue. And then there are times where it's like, I don't ever, in fact, this might be funny, but I remember last year, I think, I woke up, I got my car towed, like there was like a construction thing, so I didn't see the sign. Right?
Okay, yeah.
And I was all like ready to go train. And, it's like not even 8 a.m. And now, boom, car's gone, and I'm like, fuck, you know? So, oh wait, I'm telling you the wrong story.
Oh, damn it!
Scratch. That's a whole good one too. Here's the thing: I'm getting ready to go to a meeting. I'm playing this game knowing that it's street cleaning and I'm going to have to move my car.
Yeah.
I didn't want to run down to move my car yet because if I did that, then I was potentially going to be late and I was already, like, racing the clock, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, fuck it, I'm just going to, like, chance it, right? I go downstairs and boom, I got a ticket. We're talking, like, within a couple of minutes.
Oh, damn.
They're sticklers where I live.
Wow.
And I remember getting in the car, like, going, fucking Roxanne, you could have totally fucking, like, this tone. Did you hear that tone?
Yes.
And I was like, excuse me? Like, this might almost sound crazy. I actually made a podcast episode about it. Don't you ever talk to yourself like that. Don't you ever. Be grateful you have the money. It doesn't even matter. And be done with it. Just don't let it happen again. I stood up for myself.
Within yourself.
Within myself.
That's insane.
Because again, going back to self-connection, self-awareness, this was like an intruding being that was talking shit to this woman that I love, and granted, I made a mistake. I got the ticket. I could have ran down. But regardless, like, I don't ever want to talk to myself like that. Yeah. What is that going to do?
Yeah.
What does that do? I have found that what allows me to also perform at the high level that I perform at and to feel good in my process is because I've got my back, and in the relationship that I have with myself, it's legitimate self-love and self-respect, like legitimate.
Nice.
It wasn't like that in the 20s, so don't worry about it.
Yeah.
I got journals that were very different, like it was like, damn it, trying to figure it out.
Yeah, I feel you.
But yeah.
Okay.
So yeah.
Cool. I feel like from this podcast, most important thing I took was, like, obviously be honest with yourself, that you can kind of figure it out.
Yeah.
That higher self, I'm gonna keep looking into that and stuff like that.
Yeah, and maybe try and throw down some words in a journal and just
for sure.
Talk about your podcast, talk about like whatever.
Yeah, for sure. I'll keep you posted.
Yeah, please do.
Let me know how it is.
I'd love to know.
Thanks for being on. I appreciate
thanks
it.
for having me.
Of course,
no
problem.
Great talk.
No worries. I don't want to keep you going. I know you sleep early.
No, I gotta go to Vegas tomorrow and go cheer on my brother.
Yeah, he goes on tomorrow. Yeah.
Not tomorrow, on Saturday, but I gotta get out there early, get settled, and
awesome.
Go
well, hey, Mike, good luck, man. If you're listening.
Yeah, brother.
For sure.
All right.
Thank you, Roxanne.
Thank you.